Dr. Jorgensen, and I want to thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing some amazing information. We're going to be talking about the dental gut health connection because a lot of people don't identify what's going on in the mouth with what's going on in the body. And I do want to talk about the connection. I'm not going to even try to say this correctly, but when someone is grinding their teeth,
Bruxism.
bruxism, when someone has that, they're sleeping at night, it's actually waking them up because their mouth is clenched so tight. Talk to us about what that problem could be related to the whole dentistry connection.
So very often it's actually related to low levels of oxygen. There are so many things in our world today that are creating inflammation, and those are things you work with, and you help people with. But when you have infection in the mouth, and we haven't delved into that one, we can within what infection is, but if there's any infection in the mouth, if there's any infection in the sinuses, all of these kinds of things will lead to swelling in the tissues at the back of the mouth. So when you look in the back of your mouth and you say, you should be able to see the whole back side of your throat. The tissue that's the soft palate should be able to lift up. You should, you see the little hangy downy thing called the uvula. You should be able to see all of that. Well, so many times when we're looking in mouths and we see none of that. Everything's swollen back there and there's no space. Well, your body knows that it can't survive if it can't get oxygen. So particularly, it's daytime as well, but particularly at nighttime, you lay down. So think now what happens to those tissues at the back of the throat when you lay down. They're going to fall backward, especially when you get to deep sleep. So in deep sleep, part of the definition of deep sleep is that all the muscles relax, like it's paralysis. When we're deep sleeping, nothing moves, no muscles move. So when that happens, your muscles aren't holding that tube or the airway, what we call the airway, which is the tube that goes from your mouth and nose down to your lungs. They're not holding that airway open anymore. So if all of the tissues are swollen, and when they don't hold that airway open, if those tissues actually block your ability to get air, your body says, I'm going to die unless something changes. So it does a few things. The first thing it does is tells you to squeeze your teeth. Instantly, as soon as you squeeze your teeth, you're out of deep sleep. Because remember, deep sleep is defined by no muscle movement, no muscle use. So as soon as you squeeze your teeth, you're not in deep sleep anymore. So first of all, you're not ever going to really feel recovered or fresh or any of those kinds of things. The reason you squeeze your teeth is because it flattens the tongue and holds those muscles open better. So now you're able to get more air. So it's just your body's reflex defensive motion to be able to get more air. Second thing it'll do is you'll bring your bottom jaw forward like this, because as soon as you do that, it brings the tongue and everything out of that tube, out of the way of that tube and breathing. So a lot of times people notice they're starting to get wear right here on the tips of their teeth. They're like, why are they getting a little worn right here? I never chew like that. What's going on? It's because you're doing it when you're sleeping to get more air. So these are all just your body's reflexive, motions and things to do to actually get more air and breathe better. So if you're squeezing at night, if you're waking up with sore muscles and tense, all this kind of stuff going on, if you get headaches during the day, most likely you are not getting enough air. People often say, well, gosh, I only squeeze when I really need to focus or when I'm working out. I'm like, all of those things are times when you require more oxygen. Isn't that interesting? And all of a sudden they go, you're right. I need more oxygen to focus. I need more oxygen to work out. This is why you're clenching during those times, because you need more oxygen. This is also why you're waking up at night or unable to even go to sleep at night. Because if your body can't get enough oxygen when you get to sleep, your body won't let you go there. So you'll just lay there. Or you wake up and you're awake. Well, it's because you were suffocating and your body is in a panic mode now, and your fight or flight's up here, your cortisol spiked, and there's no going back to sleep for a while. So people tell me all these things. They're like, I wake up at 2 a.m. and I can't go back to sleep for 2 hours. It's because you stopped breathing long enough that your body woke you up. Or I just lay there for hours and I can't go to sleep, because your body knows if you go to sleep, you can't breathe. So clenching and grinding is a huge sign that you have an airway obstruction, that something's going on back here.
So what is a remedy for that?
First thing to do is get a sleep study. And the great news is the sleep studies used to be really big ordeals. I had to go to the sleep center at the hospital with my son. It was like a nightmare. He had 50,000 wires stuck to his head. And I'm thinking, how the heck's he supposed to sleep? How could this be in any way accurate
Right.
whatsoever? So now we have a really easy system. We get your information, we send it into a center. They mail you a little strap that you sleep with for 2 nights in a row. You mail it back in and you get a sleep diagnosis.
Much
It's
better.
so nice. It's at home and it's super easy. So we recommend you get a sleep study, and it's not expensive. It's like $150. It's really inexpensive when it comes to like medical tests and things. This one's on the low end of the list. You get a sleep study to say what is actually happening. That's the first step. And then based on what we find in that sleep study, there's a few things we can do. Sometimes it's infection in the mouth. So we always get a cone beam CT scan, which is a special scan that shows literally your entire head in 3 dimensions. It's the coolest thing ever. So I can see on that 3D cone beam scan, do you have a failed root canal? Do you have an area where a tooth was removed that didn't heal right? All of these things will create ongoing inflammation in the mouth and lead to that swelling that you can't breathe past. So that's what we start with. We also look and say, is your mouth big enough for your tongue and for all the tissue that's supposed to fit? Can it fit in there? And there are so many small mouths. I mean, how many people do you know that have had braces or say they want braces? Their teeth are crooked. Dr. Weston Price, this was his study. He showed that diet is 100. Well, I've actually learned this. The first bone affected by malnutrition is the top jaw. Isn't that interesting? The first bone affected by malnutrition is the top jaw. And you might think, well, we're not malnourished. We actually are. We've been termed the most undernourished, overfed society in all of history. We
Yes.
have plenty of food, but the food we're eating doesn't actually have much in it.
Mhm.
So we are really low in nutrients, and these kiddos are low in nutrients. Not only that, we use a lot of sippy cups and bottles and pacifiers, and it changes the shape of the mouth. So every kid needs braces now. Every kid's mouth is too small to house what should be housed there. And a lot of us as adults, either number one, they took out teeth for braces, which is the worst thing ever, because if you take out teeth for braces, you've permanently made the mouth too small for everything to fit.
Mm.
So there's a whole generation of people who had teeth removed for braces. It was the easy way to straighten your teeth, but now you can't breathe. And so now we have an Ambien generation, an entire generation of people who had teeth taken out who now have to live on Ambien to actually sleep at night. My mother is one of basically there you have to look and say, is there enough room? Is there enough room for the tongue and all the tissue to fit? If not, then we have ways to expand the mouth and make more room, even in an adult. It's absolutely possible, even in an adult. So those are our 2 big ways we do it. We also can shrink the tissue back in the throat that's really swollen. After we make sure infection's gone, we have a laser that just shrinks it right up and makes it possible to breathe again. There's research that shows that sleep issues will lead to a 20% decrease in your quantity of life. So I tell people, if you're going to live to 100 because of this, you're going to live to 80. If you were going to live to 80 because of this, you're going to live to 60. Is that okay? Like,
That
do
is
you really want to
incredible.
lose
No, it is
20%
not
of your life?
okay. No,
Because
no.
you don't have enough air and your body can't function or heal or recover or do anything well because you're not breathing. So the clenching is the first sign. If you've got it, it's time for a sleep study.
Good idea. I love it. Do you have information on your website about that as well?
We got tons of information on there. Yep. Go
Okay.
on there. There's all sorts of information about everything on there. Living Well with Dr. Michelle,
With Dr. Michelle.
the
Okay.
YouTube channel. Yep. And that's where you're going to find a lot of information about this, as well as a lot of things that I talk about with nutrition and gut health and all of that. The dental specific things are on my dental office site, which is Total Care Dental. So
Okay.
again, you can put this all in notes, but yeah, totalcaredental.com is where you're going to find out about a lot of these dental specific things. And then Living Well with Dr. Michelle is where you're going to find the supplements, the gut health info, the tooth powder, all of that is on there.
Okay. So you guys get on there. This has just been amazing, amazing information. I'm so glad that I found you, because all of these little bits and pieces are just a piece of the puzzle for optimal health. And it can all start right here. I mean, that's the crazy thing. So
The main thing I tell people is just the mouth really is, it's a two-way street. The mouth often tells us what's going on in the rest of the body. So I can look at your tongue and say your liver's struggling. There's so many things that can be gathered by looking in the mouth, and we can see in the mouth. I can't see inside your brain. I can't see inside your bones. I can't see inside your stomach, but I can see inside your mouth, and it tells us a lot. So really find dentists that can that can help understand what you're seeing, what they're seeing. And then the second street, the way that it goes on the street is that a lot of health issues can be either caused by or contributed by dentistry. There's a study that shows 60 to 80% of all chronic disease is either contributed to from dentistry or caused by. You mentioned a friend of yours who had breast cancer, and they tracked it right back to a root canal tooth. And I see that. I've yet to see a cancer patient that doesn't have a tooth that's contributing.
Yeah,
So dentistry is worth paying attention to. If you're looking for a dentist that does this, my website has a dentist finder on it. So it's just growing, though. It's in its infancy. So if there's not one on there, there's a couple of other places you can go as well. One is called the IAOMT.org, and we'll put it in the show notes again. And another is called the IABDM.org. And both of these organizations have dentist finders as well. It's worth finding someone close to home for you.
absolutely. It is so important. So, so, so important. Well, I want to thank you again for your time and sharing all of this very, very important information with us. I want to thank you viewers for watching, and I know that you could be doing a multiple other things, but you decided to tune in and listen to this amazing information. So if you don't mind, give a like. Let us know what you're doing. Is this information new for you? Or maybe you have some information that you would like to share with us as well. If you don't mind, give a little click on the subscribe button for more. All things health is what this channel is about. So you guys have a great day.